So, from my perspective, because that's all I could talk from, on the first category for the unemployed and the underemployed, the problem that I commonly hear across the board is not having an income. Right? Simple as is. The problem for the underemployed persons is twofold. One is trying to get out of a dead end job, and the second is being in a job that you're not passionate about. So I'm going to tackle both of them together because of the interest of time and not to lose people's concentrations. So the first step that I have to tackle any problem is developing a skill.
Yeah.
Or a talent that may be already there. So what that means is that, okay, growing up, you may be aware that you have a certain talent, for example, art.
Yeah.
Right? You could draw, you could paint, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Before you continue, bro. Also, for the sake of time, if I have the same thing that he might have, or something similar that Nick may have, we will just discuss it, talk about it together, right? So I don't have to repeat the exact same thing that he has. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. And yeah, also guys, sorry, but I'm reading my points off my phone. So if you see me looking down, that's the reason why. All right. So yeah, so developing a skill or a talent, and the example I gave was in terms of art. So you may be aware that growing up, you might be able to draw, you might be able to paint, but the skill or the talent is just there. It is up to the individual to actively dedicate and put in the time and effort to develop it. Because you may have instances where, okay, the person might say, well, I could draw, I could paint, so was in need to further pursue, right? But if it's something that you're serious about, and if you could see it developing or getting you out of the situation that you're currently in, why not go for it? Right? That's on one aspect. The other aspect is, again, keeping your goal in mind. So, especially if you're already employed, and the reason why I say especially if you're already employed is because when you start to get paid, when you get money in your hand, depending on the salary that is, if you've never worked before, then you may get hooked on the money and feel comfortable. Again, depending on where you're working, right? Depending on your job. But even in a situation like that, you may see or experience certain things in the workplace and that you're not happy about, and you realize, well, the money is no longer enough of a incentive to stay, basically. So that's when you'd want to, the other part, utilize your current situation that you're in to build what you truly desire. Somewhat like a training ground.
Right. And that is assuming that you want to transition into, let's say, freelancing.
Correct.
Right. But what about if the person doesn't necessarily want to get into freelancing, but they just want to firstly be employed, or if they're underemployed, to get employment that they are passionate about, that they could see themselves going to work every single day. They could interact with their boss openly. They don't feel a heaviness every time they have to talk to their boss or anything like that. So in that case, in a case like that, what is the mindset you think that somebody would need to move from unemployed or underemployed, where they're working in a job that they hate, or the salary doesn't match the time that they put in. How what is the mindset to move from that point to a point of fulfillment where you're employed, you're in a job that you love, you yeah. How do you get from that point?
Okay. So
And again, there's no right or wrong answer. This is just us discussing. This is just opinion. Okay?
conversation.
Conversation.
Yeah. So I think in order to move from one place to another in the direction that you spoke of, we would have the person, sorry, would have to first know themselves,
Mm-hmm.
right? Be aware of themselves in terms of they have to be honest with themselves. They have to be realistic, of course. And then seek out ways of, or avenues, sorry, of finding that stream that will lead into that. By that, I mean finding the right people, networking basically, right? And in the example that I gave for artists who may not want to freelance, if you go to art shows, etc., that person should be able to find a common ground, basically, where other people, art lovers, would be, or enthusiasts, would be around coming to check out other paintings, other forms of art, etc. And that would be one avenue that they'll be able to link with other people, have a conversation with them, and see how best they could actually fall in line, right? In that regard, and again, is all about experience. So that person should try to take the opportunity to follow that path, right? Now, it's not guaranteed that it will work out, obviously, but what else you have to lose?
Yeah, that's true. I also think one of the things that people have to look at is, as someone who's unemployed or underemployed, Nick would have mentioned about talent and the skill that you already have. You have to figure out how that skill can be applied to a job that you want. So whether it is that you're an artist, or you're a musician, or you are a videographer, how does your talent or your skill, how can it be applied to the job that you want, that job that you think will fulfill you, if you are unemployed or underemployed? Also, you have to you have to think about, okay, what other skill that I may need to complement the skill that I already have
Right.
to make myself more marketable